Hey, Mikey. Sorry if it's a bit loud in here. I'm sat in a brunch bar in Washington, D.C. currently, but I built this, which I think you might like. So this all runs as a single Docker, well, Docker containers with Docker Compose. So you can strip it down and bring it up. There we go. All right, so, and this is interesting because I agree there's many times where you just need like a custom way of building like resource management. And apart from those players you were talking about, they don't really exist. So the idea behind this is you can create collections, and collection is a specific set of resource management. So you might only need one, but I built it like this. So in settings, this is just to allow the UI to connect to the API. By default, it's changed me. Um, you then can set the default fields you want for all of your collections, um, like this. You can add extra shit if you want. So I'll just delete those to make it super simple. There we go. And then if we create a collection, called, I don't know, carrier switches. They're the defaults. We can add our own custom fields if we want. We can say whether they're required or not as part of the collection, um, etc. And then when we create that collection, here we go. So with nothing in there at the moment. Um, we can go into the playground so that you don't have to do all this via the API. And we can go, hey, okay, I want to lease any available, right? Or lease a specific resource. Owner of that. And it will build out the actual API call here for you. To make it easy to see. And there's no resources, okay? And that's fine because obviously you can't request a lease when there's no resources available. So if we go to the dashboard, if we click on Catalyst switches, we can add resources here or via the API. So let's add switch 01 available. Wow. I get back. Oh, it is. So I'll fix that. In the code base, that's a bug. Let me take that. Okay, so we can see we've got switch 01, 1U rack. Great. So now if I go back into the playground for that collection, lease any available, that resource type. Pretty sure I've got a problem with my inbound router because I bet that has actually a lease. Let's have a look. Yep. So for some reason we're getting 500s back when it should be 200, but I'll fix that. So you can see like none available, one total, one leased. It's leased to me. I can unlease it and blah, blah, blah. I've added a few other features. So webhooks. I can literally say when there's a lease or release, I want you to send a webhook telling some other system to do some other thing, and you can pass it your own JSON there based on whatever the hell. I can create a set of variables from the collection if you would like there as well. So you can include name, blah, 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 IP, MAC address, whatever you're planning to put in your schema. And then we also do schema versioning, and you can use them simultaneously. So for example, these were the defaults for any new collection we created. But let's say switches now need, I don't know, for your sake, an enable password, right? That's required. So now I've created a new schema if I add a resource, we have to have that enable password. However, if you've still got like your entire lab environment working on the previous version of the schema, you might not be able to upgrade everything at the same time. So what we have is two different versions of the API schema that will continue working and not require the new data until you choose to stop using it. And V2 will have, if you create the codeless script, the enable password string, and V1 will not. And they can both be used simultaneously. They both take reservations from the live backend database. And so, yeah, it should be really flexible. Oh, and also, everything generates Swagger documentation in real time. So if I choose a collection and I choose a version, as you can see, like you get actual Swagger documentation. And if that's not enough for devs, then you can also use this to, as I showed you earlier, generate like sample debug gets and commits and things. Yeah, I think this is probably something like what you need. Obviously, I've created it with UI to make it super easy to get started and play with it. I'll push this to GitHub. If you say yes, it can just be public because there's nothing in it that's particularly sensitive. Like I said, the backend and front end just run in two Docker containers. If I Docker compose, if I just do a Docker PS, I can show you. So we've got the open source storage database. I'm using Mongo because no schema mentions conversions every time we change something. Plus, that means this is technical work related. So, and then you've got the back end and the front end separated because you might not want to run the front end in the same place, exposed to the same ports, etc. So, but if you look, if we do Docker compose down, you can see that the data is outside of the Docker container. So the actual storage database is just a file, so you can back it up on a VM or whatever. So if we do Docker compose up, we'll end up back with the same database. So if you refresh this, that'll stay there. It's still loose, even though we've restarted the Docker container. Let me know if that is what you were thinking, sir. And like I said, I'm just going to push it to my GitHub anyway. So you can pull this down and do a Docker compose up, and you can play with it. I've had a look at that 500 error now, but it all seems to be working as expected. Yeah. Later, Pete.